Greetings, fighters! Today we're going to do an introduction to the fighter class in Dungeons & Dragons, and we're going to look at the changes from 5e to D&D 2024. Just going to go over the core traits, levels 1, 2, and 3, up until you get your subclass or martial archetype. The core traits of a fighter are hit dice, saves, skills, weapon proficiencies, armor proficiencies, and starting equipment. The hit dice are a d10. The saves are strength and constitution. Skills are 2 from acrobatics, animal handling, athletics, history, insight, intimidation, perception, and survival. D&D 2024 also adds persuasion to this list. Weapons are simple and martial weapons. Armor is light, medium, and heavy, and shields as well. Starting equipment in 5th edition was chainmail or leather armor, longbow, and 20 arrows, a martial weapon and shield, or 2 martial weapons, a light crossbow and 20 bolts, or 2 hand axes, and then a Dungeoneer's pack or an Explorer's pack. Or you could take the rolled gold of 5d4 times 10, and then you would get anywhere between 5 and 25 gold from your background on top of either of these choices. Starting equipment for the fighter in D&D 2024 comes in 3 variations: chainmail, greatsword, flail, 8 javelins, Dungeoneer's pack, and 4 gold, or studded leather armor, scimitar, short sword, longbow, 20 arrows, quiver, Dungeoneer's pack, and 11 gold, or you can take the lump sum gold of 155 gold, and then you would get, on top of any of these choices, 50 gold from your background. Level 1. At level 1, a fighter gains a fighting style. In 5th edition, the fighting styles were archery, defense, dueling, great weapon fighting, protection, and 2-weapon fighting. In D&D 2024, there are 3 additional fighting styles of blind fighting, interception, and thrown weapon fighting. Archery is +2 to hit with ranged weapons. This also includes thrown weapons. Defense of +1 AC while wearing any armor. Dueling, +2 damage with a one-handed weapon while wielding no weapon in your offhand. This also allows you to use it while wielding a shield. Great weapon fighting, while wielding a versatile weapon in 2 hands or a 2-handed weapon, reroll 1s and 2s, but you must keep the new roll. This has changed in D&D 2024, where instead of re-rolling the 1s and 2s, you just take 3. Protection. While wielding a shield, impose disadvantage on an attack made against a target within 5 feet of you. In D&D 2024, this has been changed to make all attacks against that target disadvantage until you or they move or the start of your next turn. 2-weapon fighting allows you to add your ability modifier to the damage of your offhand weapon attack. In D&D 2024, this is due to the light weapon property. Blind fighting in D&D 2024 gives you a blind sight of range of 10 feet. Interception, while wielding a simple weapon, martial weapon, or shield, you can use a reaction to reduce damage to a target within 10 feet of you, excluding yourself, by 1d10 plus your proficiency bonus. Thrown weapon fighting adds 2 damage with thrown weapons. Second wind. As a bonus action, you may roll 1d10 plus your fighter level and regain hit points. You regain uses of this feature after a short or long rest. In D&D 2024, this has changed. You now have 2 uses of this ability, and you regain 1 use on a short rest or all uses on a long rest. Weapon mastery. You gain the mastery properties of 3 types of weapons of simple or martial weapons of your choice. You may switch one of these weapon types after a long rest, and you gain more mastery properties starting at level 4, level 10, and level 16. The mastery properties are Cleave, Graze, Nick, Push, Sap, Slow, Topple, and Vex. Cleave, you would see in a Great Axe. Once per turn, when you hit a target, you may make another attack against a second target within reach and within 5 feet of the first target. The damage of this attack does not add your ability modifier. Graze, which you would see in a greatsword, if your attack misses, you instead deal your weapon's damage type equal to your ability modifier. Nick, which you would see in a dagger, allows you to make your light weapon property attack as part of your main attack instead of taking up your bonus action. Push, you would see in a warhammer. On hit, you can move a creature up to 10 feet away from you, as long as it is large or smaller. Sap, which you would see on the Morningstar. On a hit, the creature has disadvantage on its next attack roll before the start of your next turn. Slow, you would see on the Longbow. On hit, the creature's speed is reduced by 10 feet. This effect does not stack with itself. Topple, which you would see on them all. On hit, the creature must make a Constitution saving throw, DC 8, plus your ability modifier to make the attack, plus your proficiency bonus, or be knocked prone. And then Vex, which you would see on the short sword. On hit, you gain advantage on your next attack roll against that creature before the end of your next turn. Level 2, Action Surge. Take an additional action this turn. You regain the use of this feature after a short or long rest. And at level 17, you gain 2 uses between short rests, but you cannot take more than 1 action surge on a turn. In D&D 2024, you specifically cannot take the magic action as part of the action surge. Tactical Mind. When you fail a skill check, you can expend a use of your second wind feature to, instead of gaining hit points, add 1d10 to the skill check's total, potentially changing the outcome. Level 3. This is the level that fighters gain their subclasses, also known as martial archetypes. The options are Battlemaster, Champion, Eldritch Knight, and Psi Warrior. Battlemaster. Scholars in the art of battle. Student of war. Gain proficiency in 1 type of artisan's tools, and in D&D 2024, also gain 1 skill from the list available to fighters at level 1. Artisan's tools, when they were first introduced in 5th edition in the player's handbook, didn't have a whole lot of guidance to go on what exactly they did. This was later expanded upon in Xanathar's, but there is significant changes from Xanathar's over to how they work in the player's handbook of 2024. To avoid confusion, I will put them up on the screen, but it's easier just to focus on the 2024 ones. They work essentially the same, just with minor tweaks. The list of artisans' tools are alchemist tools, brewer supplies, calligrapher supplies, carpenter's tools, cartographer's tools, cobbler's tools, cook's utensils, glassblower's tools, jeweler's tools, leatherworker tools, mason's tools, painter's tools, potter's tools, smith's tools, tinkerer's tools, weaver's tools, woodcarver's tools. Combat superiority. You gain 4 superiority dice, and these are d8s. You regain all superiority dice on a short or a long rest, and you gain an additional superiority die at level 7, and then an additional one at level 15. When a maneuver calls for a superiority DC, it is 8 plus your proficiency, plus your strength modifier or your dexterity modifier. Up to you. You learn 3 maneuvers. You learn 2 additional maneuvers at levels 7, 10, and 15. Each time you learn a new maneuver, you may replace one of your old ones with a new one. Commander Strike. Expend a superiority die when you take the attack action and forego one of your attacks, and use a bonus action to command an ally to use their reaction to make an attack against a target within their range. They add your superiority die roll to their damage. In D&D 2024, this no longer consumes your bonus action, and it does specify that the ally must be willing. Disarming attack. Expend a superiority die when you hit a creature, and add your superiority die roll to your damage. Also force the creature to drop an item of your choice that it is holding on a strength save. Distracting Strike. Expend a superiority die when you hit a creature, and add the roll to your damage. The next creature to attack the same target before the start of your next turn, besides you, gains advantage on their attack. Evasive Footwork. Expend a superiority die when you move, and add the roll to your AC until you stop moving. In D&D 2024, this is a bonus action. You disengage, and you add the roll to your AC until the start of your next turn. Feinting Attack. Expend a superiority die as a bonus action to make a feint against a target within 5 feet. Your next attack against that target has advantage, and if you land your attack, you also add your superiority die to your damage. Goading Attack. Expend a superiority die when you hit a creature and add the roll to your damage. That creature must make a wisdom saving throw or have disadvantage on all of its attacks against targets other than you until the end of your next turn. Lunging Attack. Expend a superiority die and increase your reach with a melee weapon by 5 feet. Make an attack roll against a creature within range, and add your superiority die to the damage if you hit. In D&D 2024, Lunging Attack is now a bonus action to dash, and if you move at least 5 feet in a straight line before attacking a creature, you add your superiority die to damage. Maneuvering Attack. Expend a superiority die when you hit a creature, and add your superiority die to your damage. You can direct an ally to move up to half their speed as a reaction without the target of your attack gaining attacks of opportunity against your ally. In D&D 2024, it specifies that your ally must be willing. Menacing attack. Expend a superiority die when you hit a creature and add the roll to your attack's damage. The creature must make a wisdom saving throw or become frightened until the end of your next turn. Parry. Expend a superiority die when you are hit by a melee attack and reduce the damage by your superiority die roll plus your strength or your dexterity modifier. Your choice. Precision attack. Expend a superiority die when you make an attack and add the roll to your attack roll. In D&D 2024, you expend the superiority die after you miss the attack, possibly changing the outcome. Pushing attack. Expend a superiority die when you hit a creature and add the roll to your damage. If the creature is large or smaller, it must make a strength saving throw or be pushed up to 15 feet away from you. Rally. Expend a superiority die as a bonus action to grant an ally who can see or hear you temporary hit points equal to your superiority die roll plus your charisma modifier. In D&D 2024, this has been changed from your charisma modifier to half your fighter level. Riposte. Expend a superiority die as a reaction when a creature misses you with a melee attack. You may make an attack against them, and on hit, you add your superiority die to the damage of that attack. Sweeping attack. Expend a superiority die when you hit a creature to attempt to hit another creature within range and within 5 feet of the first target. If the attack roll for the original attack would hit both creatures, deal your superiority die to the second creature. Trip attack. Expend a superiority die when you hit a creature and add the roll to your damage. If the creature is large or smaller, it must make a strength saving throw or be knocked prone. In D&D 2024, there are 4 new maneuvers available to Battlemasters. Ambush. Expend a superiority die and add the roll to a stealth check or initiative check, unless you are incapacitated. Bait and switch. Expend a superiority die to switch places with a willing ally within 5 feet of you. You must use 5 feet of movement, and this movement does not provoke attacks of opportunity. After the movement is over, you roll a superiority die and add the AC to either you or your ally's AC. The choice is yours. Commanding presence. Expend a superiority die when you make a charisma, intimidation, performance, or persuasion check, and add the roll to your check's total. Tactical assessment. Expend a superiority die when you make an intelligence, history, or an investigation check, or wisdom, insight check. Add the roll to the check's total. Champion. Warriors of physical perfection. Improved critical. Score a critical hit with weapon attacks when you roll a 19 or 20 on your d20 for your attack roll. In D&D 2024, champions also gain Remarkable Athlete, which grants you advantage on initiative and strength athletics checks. And after you score a critical hit, you can move up to half your speed without provoking attacks of opportunity. Eldritch Knight. Warriors of Might and Arcane Magic. Weapon Bond, now War Bond in D&D 2024, is a ritual to bond with a weapon over 1 hour. This can be completed during a short or long rest, and the weapon must remain within your reach for the duration of the ritual. At the end of the ritual, you can no longer be disarmed of your weapon unless you are incapacitated, and as a bonus action, as long as your weapon is on the same plane of existence as you, you can summon it to your hand instantly. You cannot bond with a third weapon until you break the bond with one of your previous weapons. Spellcasting. Cantrips. Learn 2 cantrips from the wizard spell list. Learn an additional cantrip at level 10. In D&D 2024, they recommend Ray of Frost and Shocking Grasp. Ray of Frost. Evocation cantrip. Casting time is 1 action. Range of 60 feet. Components, verbal and somatic. Duration, instantaneous. You make a ranged spell attack against a target. On hit, it takes 1d8 cold damage, and its speed is reduced by 10 feet until the start of your next turn. There appears to be no changes from 5th edition to D&D 2024. Shocking Grasp. Evocation cantrip. Casting time 1 action. Range of touch. And components verbal and somatic. Duration instantaneous. On a hit, the target takes 1d8 lightning damage, and it can't make opportunity attacks until the start of its next turn. This has changed from general reactions from 5th edition. Spell slots. Gain 2 first-level spell slots. You regain your spell slots when you complete a long rest. Spells. Learn 3 first-level spells from the wizard spell list. 2 must be from schools of abjuration or evocation. Learn new spells at levels 4, 7, 8, 10, 11, 13, 14, 16, 19, and 20. The spells you learn at 8, 14, and 20 can be from any school of magic. All others must be from either abjuration or evocation. When you gain a level in this class, you may exchange a learned spell for another spell as long as the new spell is from either abjuration or evocation, unless it is one of the spells you learned at 8, 14, or 20. In D&D 2024, you choose 3 level 1 spells from the wizard spell list. Recommended: Burning Hands, Jump, and Shield. You prepare a number of spells in which you have slots. Burning Hands. Level 1 Evocation, casting time 1 action, range, self, 15-foot cone, components verbal, somatic, duration instantaneous. 15-foot cone deals 3d6 fire damage on a failed dexterity save, or half as much on a successful one, and flammable objects in the cone that aren't being worn or carried start burning. There appears to be no changes to this spell from 5th edition to D&D 2024. Jump. Level 1 Transmutation, casting time bonus action, range, touch, component, verbal, somatic, and material, a grasshopper's hind leg. Duration, 1 minute. You touch a willing creature once on each of its turns until the spell ends. That creature can jump up to 30 feet by spending 10 feet of its movement. This seems to have changed from 5th edition, where the creature's jump distance is tripled until the spell ends. Shield. First level abjuration, casting time, reaction, which you take when you are hit by an attack roll or targeted by a magic missile spell, range of self, components verbal, somatic, duration 1 round. Until the start of your next turn, you have +5 bonus to AC, including against the triggering attack, and you take no damage from magic missile. There appears to be no changes from 5th edition to D&D 2024. Changing prepared spells. When you level up, you may exchange a spell that you have prepared for a new spell for which you have a spell slot. Spellcasting ability, intelligence. Your attack rolls are proficiency bonus plus your intelligence modifier. Your DC is 8 plus your proficiency bonus plus your intelligence modifier. Your spellcasting focus in D&D 2024 is an arcane focus. Psi Warrior. Warrior suffused with the powers of an unleashed mind. Psi Warrior was first introduced to 5th edition with Tasha's Cauldron of Everything. There appears to be little changes, but we're going to go over what it is in D&D 2024. Psionic Power. Psionic energy dice gain a pool of d6s equal to twice your proficiency bonus. Once per short rest, you may use a bonus action to regain a single expended psionic energy die. Regain all psionic energy die on a long rest. This pool increases in die size at level 5 to a d8, at level 11 to a d10, and at level 17 to a d12. Protective Field. Expend a psionic energy die as a reaction when you or an ally within 30 feet take damage, and reduce the incoming damage by your psionic energy die plus your intelligence modifier. Minimum reduction of 1. Psionic Strike. Expend a psionic energy die when you hit a creature with a weapon attack within 30 feet of you. Deal additional force damage to the creature equal to your psionic energy die plus your intelligence modifier. Telekinetic Movement. As an action, you can move a large or smaller object or willing creature that you can see, other than yourself, within 30 feet, up to 30 feet to an unoccupied space. If it is a tiny object, you can move it to or from your hand. Once you take this action, you cannot repeat it until you have finished a short or a long rest, or you expend a psionic energy die to do so. This concludes the introduction for the changes from 5th edition to D&D 2024 for the fighter class. If you found this video helpful or informative, please like and subscribe. And if you have any comments or feedback about the video, please let me know. And if you have a preference for what class I do next, please say so in the comments. Thank you. Bye.